viewers, we have some breaking updates for you as far as Jacqueline Fernandez is concerned and the Enforcement Directorate case that was being carried out against Jacqueline Fernandez herself. And now we're learning that at least 7 crore worth more property has been attached in the case that was being built by the Enforcement Directorate against her. And the property is also been seized as well, is what we're learning. And this, and remember, is the Enforcement Directorate investigation that was being carried out in the Bollywood actress Jacqueline Fernandez. And now out of the 7 crore, we are learning that 5.71 crore gifts worth, in fact, were given to the actress by Sukesh, is what we're learning. And Aishwarya Kapoor is also joining us on the broadcast with more details. Aishwarya, tell us more about the properties that have been attached in the Jacqueline Fernandez case that was being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate. And we will connect that line with Aishwarya Kapoor very shortly. And we are recapping for you viewers the breaking developments that we're tracking for you from Enforcement Directorate now this time. With respect to the Jacqueline Fernandez case that had been registered against her, she, remember, had also been called to the Enforcement Directorate office. She had been summoned there. She had been questioned along with several other Bollywood superstars that had been involved in this case against her. And Aishwarya Kapoor is back with us on the broadcast. Aishwarya, please break it down for us with respect to the properties that have been attached in Jacqueline Fernandez's case. And
बताता है कि किस तरीके से सुकेश जो भी ये जो जबरन जो मतलब उगाही का जो केस है उनके ऊपर, वो सारा पैसा कहां जा रहा था उसका एक बड़ा चंक उन्होंने गिफ्ट के तौर पे जैकलिन फर्नांडिस को दिया था और वो सारी प्रॉपर्टी इस समय जब्त कर ली है एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट।
बिल्कुल ऐश्वर्या, में आप भी बता रहे हैं जिसमें गिफ्ट भी शामिल है। ये बताया गया है कि सन 2000 से 2021 के बीच ये तमाम गिफ्ट दिए गए थे और इसी की जांच लगातार ईडी कर रही थी। क्या इसके बारे में सेटिस्फैक्टरी आंसर दे पाती थी जैकलिन फर्नांडिस या नहीं, और वो नहीं दे पाई, इसीलिए एक बड़ी कार्रवाई हो गई।
जी देखिए, ये बात साफ है कि इस समय एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट श्वेता सेटिस्फाइड नहीं था और इसीलिए श्वेता जी ये जो अभी एक्शन लिया गया है अभिनेत्री जैकलिन फर्नांडिस के खिलाफ, ये एक बहुत बड़ी कार्रवाई है, हमने देखा है। और ये जो अभी डिटेल्स आ रही हैं कि टोटल जो 7.27 करोड़ था, इसमें से 7.12 करोड़ तो फिक्स डिपॉजिट के तौर पे था। तो वो जो जबरन उगाही कर रहा था सुकेश, जो स्कैमस्टर फ्रॉडस्टर है जो इस समय जेल में है, वो सारे गिफ्ट दे रहा था और उसमें से 7.12 करोड़ के फिक्स डिपॉजिट से 5.17 करोड़ का गिफ्ट से। तो ये साफ दर्शाता है कि किस तरह से मतलब इलीगल तरीके से जो पैसा वो मतलब उगाही कर रहे थे, वो किस किस को कहां कहां दिया जा रहा था, ये साफ दिखाता है। टोटल 7.27 करोड़ की जो प्रॉपर्टी है, इसके अंदर 7.12 करोड़ के फिक्स डिपॉजिट थे और टोटल 5.1 करोड़ की गिफ्ट थे जो कि सुकेश ने ऑफिशियली जैकलिन फर्नांडिस को दिए थे। जी श्वेता।
ऐश्वर्या, इसके पहले जैकलिन फर्नांडिस से इस मामले में पूछताछ भी की गई है। क्या इस जब्ती की कार्रवाई के बाद यह मुमकिन है कि ईडी की तरफ से आने वाले समय में और पूछताछ की जा सके और चीजें निकलकर सामने आए इसमें?
ये बात साफ हमको बताई जा रही है कि अभी एक्शन जारी रहेगा, पूछताछ जारी रहेगी, सिर्फ एक से नहीं कई और एक्ट्रेसेस, क्योंकि हमने देखा है कि कई और बड़ी बड़ी अभिनेत्रियों से भी सवाल पूछे गए हैं, क्योंकि कहा जा रहा था कि सुकेश काफी बड़े बड़े लोगों के बॉलीवुड में बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं और जो व्यक्ति 5-5 करोड़ के गिफ्ट देता हो, और अगर आप देखें अभी ऑफिशियली ईडी की तरफ से कहा जा रहा है कि 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा के तो ऑफिशियल गिफ्ट थे, 5.7 करोड़, 5.71 करोड़ यानी 5.5 करोड़ से ऊपर के तो गिफ्ट ऑफिशियली जो आदमी दे रहा है, और ये सारा पैसा इलीगल है, ये सारा पैसा जबरन उगाही का है और उसने ऑफिशियली इन लोगों को गिफ्ट दिया है, जिसमें से 7.12 करोड़ इन लोगों ने फिक्स डिपॉजिट्स में रखे हुए हैं। तो उस तरह से देखा जाए तो इन लोगों को ये कहा जा रहा है कि कोई डर नहीं था, इन्हें लगा सब कुछ ठीक है, लेकिन सिर्फ एक नहीं कई और बड़े बड़े चेहरे इसके चपेट में आ सकते हैं। और जो भी लेटेस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन है, मैं दोबारा दोहरा दूं कि टोटल टोटल इस समय 7.27 करोड़, जिसमें से 5.71 करोड़ के गिफ्ट बताए जा रहे हैं, जो कि आधिकारिक तौर पे सुकेश ने दिए थे। और टोटल जो 7.27 करोड़ की प्रॉपर्टी की गई है, उसमें से 7.12 करोड़ वर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ फिक्स डिपॉजिट, यानी वो फिक्स डिपॉजिट थे जो इनके बैंक में। जी
बिल्कुल ऐश्वर्य, आगे भी अपडेट लेंगे। फिलहाल जानकारी देने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। तो हमारे एग्जीक्यूटिव एडिटर ऐश्वर्य कपूर जो इस वक्त हमें तमाम अपडेट दे रहे थे कि
And there you heard it, Aishwarya Kapoor breaking down the details of what really is happening with the Enforcement Directorate and the case that has been registered against the Bollywood actress Jacqueline Fernandez. And we are learning that over 7 crore worth of property that has now been attached in matter that was being investigated against her, along with Sukesh as well. And we had been learning that 7 crore worth of property has been attached. And for more details on this, let me go across to my colleague Aishwarya Kapoor.
Very clearly, ED's heat on Jacqueline Fernandez is on. ED has attached assets of actress Jacqueline Fernandez. ED has basically attached assets worth of 7.27 crores, out of which 5.71 crores are official gifts, and in total 7.1.
Aishwarya, stay on with us. Swapnil Kothari is also joining us on the broadcast. Swapnil Kothari, if I could come to you. With the Jacqueline Fernandez's case, we have discussed this earlier as well. She had been brought in for questioning earlier to the ED as well. And now property that has been attached to her case that was being investigated by the ED.
Surprised at all. It's if you've been called by the ED, then obviously they have an Enforcement Commission information report, the equivalent of an FIR, what we call is the ECIR, which pertains to the PMLA, and obviously there is money laundering involved, because if you have assets disproportionate to your income, then the Enforcement Directorate is going to swoop on you like an eagle. And also at the same time, after certain questioning, if you are not giving satisfactory answers, then the first thing that they'll do is attach those properties so that you cannot do anything with them. And then secondly, what they're going to do is, possibly if you're not cooperating further, then arrest is another aspect that they will consider in mind, because they'll say that, okay, once we arrest you, then you're in a better position to answer us, because you're within the custodial interrogation of the Enforcement Directorate. And not only that, but then you start singing like a canary and name your participants and name your partners and accomplices, because these kind of things do not take place by just a single mind. Obviously, there is a concerted action with several people involved. And, I don't know who else is involved with her. And, as to, first of all, she's got to give an explanation that, where do you get this kind of property, and what is the income tax returns that you have filed. And of course, if you filed an income tax return for 50 crores or something of that sort, then obviously 7 crores is not unexpected. That is something which you can explain. But if you don't have those kind of returns, and your returns are less than your property, or consistently your returns are less than your property, then obviously the Enforcement Directorate is going to smell a rat and is not going to let you off at all. So this is not sounding good for her. It's going to escalate further, I'm certain. And it's going to go ahead in a way that, may not be very palatable to her.
Well, definitely not looking good is what you're really telling us. Because, Swapnil Kothari, we had also learned that out of the 7.12 crore of the assets that have been attached, 5.71 crore were only gifts that were given to the actress by Sukesh himself. And, several close counterparts of both of them have also been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate as well. And that might also have led to attaching of this property and more evidence against Jacqueline Fernandez, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Why would a man give you those kind of gifts? And even if he's enamored with you, and even if he finds you, somewhat more than a good friend, I think, the explanation has to be there for that this is not just some sort of a random gift, but this is something which, merits a very, very decent explanation, other than any of the fact that, he's your partner or anything of that sort. So, and partner, I mean, not in terms of professional behavior, but, on a personal level. So, obviously this is the questioning. And I would think that both need to, be questioned together. I don't know whether only she was questioned, but both need to be put in front of each other, so that you can then marry, what they have to say, or rather first interrogate them separately and then put them both together and then see the expressions and how they behave and, what sort of answers are there, and then the evidence will be more forthcoming. Because this sounds only to me as the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure there is much more to it, much more in numbers as well. And of course, the ramifications of this, the tentacles of this are spread far and wide. I don't think it's just restricted to some sort of, a little bit of a money laundering, I would say. I wouldn't say use the word little bit. I'm sure there is quite a bit.
Right. All right. Swapnil Kothari there, the senior lawyer, giving us the legal perspective of what's really happening in the Jacqueline Fernandez's case, viewers. But let me also at this point bring in my colleague Ananya Bhatnagar, who is also tracking the story for us very, very closely. Ananya, tell us more about the investigation that is being carried out against Jacqueline Fernandez. Of course, today is a big development where 7 crore, in fact, have been added with respect to the properties that have been attached as well. But tell us about the investigation that is being carried out against Jacqueline Fernandez and her associates.
Well, yes, remember that this case is relating to the 200 crore duping of an Indian businessman's wife by conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar, where a big nexus of Bollywood had emerged. But what has happened, I'll take you through what has happened, the latest first. First of all, the properties of Jacqueline Fernandez were amounting to more than 7 crores have been seized by the Enforcement Directorate. The properties have been attached by the Enforcement Directorate. Second of all, what is important to note is that more than 5 crore of this property was gifted to Jacqueline by Sukesh Chandrasekhar, the famous conman who had duped an Indian businessman's wife of 200 crores. And this money trail of 200 crores had actually led to the disclosures by the name of various Bollywood actresses. Remember that ED had recently filed a supplementary charge sheet bringing out names of more actresses, including Bhumi Pednekar, and many other actresses were also named, including Jacqueline Fernandez, Nora Fateh, who are already being probed and questioned into this whole case. However, still now...
All right, Ananya, you're breaking down some very important details for us with respect to this story. We trust you to keep us ahead with respect to what's really happening with Jacqueline Fernandez. For the moment, thank you.